Welcome back to another episode of Thirsty's Action Figure News and Reviews. And up next, we have the Marvel Legends 2-pack of Wolverine and Psylocke. Now let's get this package open and see what we're working with. All right, and now that we've gotten them out the package, let's see what we're working with here. And since we've already had figures of Wolverine in the past, we'll just start with him. Unlike most people, he is not my favorite X-Men character. Team Cyclops all the way. But as far as this one, we have had a version of this one in the past, but this does like a very good modern update for it, and it doesn't have those crazy stocking looking mask thing that he has over his face, which I thought was a terrible look, but it did go with the character. But as far as this Wolverine goes, he is on the all pinless body. Uh, it does look like they did actually paint in the hair on this one. Even has some hair on the back of the neck. Your boy is hairy, which is all good. He has this floating belt piece here in the middle. The claws, it looks like they went old school with the claws that we used to get quite often on these, which I don't know if these were anybody's favorite claws, but I will say this, they do feel a little bit more stiff and sturdy than they did before, which is probably why they don't look warped, which is a good thing for these. Um, I would have rather had the ones that came on the X-Men 97 or the bigger ones, but I'm cool with these as far as the Wolverine figure goes. Like I said, we have so many, and this is not the look that I would actually be sporting mine in, that I would use most of the time, but it's not a bad looking figure by no means. It's just a basic Wolverine figure in black. It does have the nice ports painted on the side that come up here, and got that nice silver paint on it though. Um, he comes, this little wrist piece is removable if you wanted that. He does have the butterfly joints that goes in. He has all the articulation that you would expect for Wolverine to have right now, even though the double joint actually only comes up to about 90. So, I mean, it's not the greatest, but as far as Wolverine goes, it's not horrible either. And then, of course, the foot, and you got ankle pivot, up and down motion. So if you've had a Wolverine figure in the past, you know exactly how this guy is going to work. Now, as far as this head sculpt goes, this one looks like that kind of brooding, I'm sick of waiting, Scott, let's go out and do something type of look to it. It's okay. I mean, it's a nice Wolverine sculpt, but let's check and see what the other one looks like, because he does come with an alternate head sculpt, which is here, which is more of a like a smirky type look. There's not a big major difference, but you can tell a difference here. He also does come with two fisted hands that also have the ports on them as well. That's sans claws, no claws on those. But let's see what that other head sculpt looks like. All right, welcome back. And this is that second head sculpt. Again, I'm not sure how much of a difference you can tell on camera with what this face looks like. It looks like they do this a lot with these legends. They'll give them two head sculpts, but the second head sculpts look so similar to the first that you really can't tell a major difference. I'm hoping that in the future, if they give us two head sculpts, that they look different. It doesn't necessarily have to be a yelling head sculpt, which would have been nice with a Wolverine figure, but just something that is different enough that we don't have to look and stare and be like, what's the difference? Like, I'm looking at them two now, and then I see like the hair piece up here in the front is different than the one on this one. And it's just, I don't know. It's it's just a Wolverine figure. So for me, this isn't the highlight of this pack for me. So let's move on to what I've been waiting for, and that is this Mandarin Psylocke. All right, and up next is the Mandarin Psylocke, aka Betsy Braddock, and the Quinon's body. This was right after the Siege Perilous, where she was put into a different body from her original. This is the Asian body that her mind was put into. If you know anything about Betsy Braddock, she is actually British, and she is the sister of Captain Britain. But in this one, when she first went through the Siege Perilous and came back as the Mandarin Psylocke, she was a little evil before Wolverine helped save her and bring her back to her senses. But this is a nice looking figure. The cape that drapes swoops off to the side, this little weird little arm thing. The actual armor looks nice, and then how they have it kind of painted and shaded in the leg parts. And it does look like this is completely pinless as well, even though these arms look really thin. But, that's not a major problem. So let's check this figure out. So it looks like this doesn't quite go up to 90 degrees because it looks like she has some armor bits on the side here that prohibit that. It will go further up. The double joints are really good, so you can pretty much get her back to all the way where she needs to be there. It's gonna be even less movement on the side here with the way the cape is. That is not the greatest thing in the world. It can come up forward some, and it rotates. The head sculpt looks down this much. Will always have a problem looking up when you have big haired figures. But the right and left is not too bad. It does get a little hindered when it gets caught on this side of the cape. As far as our legs go, they can kick out that far, which is pretty decent. With the cut, you can actually get her in better splits than I thought you would be able to. So that's not too bad. As far as how they have her here, there's no waist movement, but you have all this that you can go back and forth, and goes back that far, up that far, over to the side, over to the side. So that's not bad movement for Betsy. You would want a little bit more, but she is also wearing armor, so take that as you will with a grain of salt. As far as going back, she does have the double knees, but she can't really kick her own butt because this gets in the way, but it is not really super pliable. So if you move that out the way, you can still go back and kick pretty far. So that's not bad. That's not bad. I think they did put a little bit more thought in that than they usually do, because sometimes these things can be traffic cones. This time it is not the case. So no problems with that. And she is still a really nice looking figure. Now let's see this alternate head sculpt. So here we go with this nice alternate head sculpt. And let me say, uh, Mandarin Psylocke, evil Psylocke, she looks nuts. Like she, like she is ready to do damage with some people. Like she been hanging out with Sabretooth on the side or something. We don't know what's really going on with this chick right here, but it's it looks good, so there's no problems with that at all. And let's look at some of these like effects she has. Now these new little crackle effects actually look pretty decent. We don't often get a lot of new effects, so when we get them, we gotta see if we can sport them, and it click on pretty easily. And that looks decent. That looks decent. I'm not quite sure where they were going with this, considering what her power sets are, but it is some new accessories to have, so I am not going to complain about that. And we can always find a use of that with other figures as well. And then now we'll use her Might have to use some behind the camera strength on this one. Hold on a second. All right, and here we are. She's back with her psychic blade, and that actually looks pretty good as well. Looks like she'll be able to put a hurting on some people. So I don't have any real problems with this. This looks good for Betsy. This psylock is nice. She's got a good crazy look on here, which is a nice change of pace. And let's see. Now the only issue I have had, like standing her has not been super easy, but female figures sometimes you just have to play around with it and get something that works. And once it does, it does. But when it don't want to, it does not want to. And this is one of those times. But it is what it is. She also comes with these kind of clawed hands, which would go good with Crazy Betsy. So we might have to switch those hands with that to see how that looks. But she looks really good. I for the most part, I'm very happy with her. Now let's do some comparisons. All right, and we'll start off adding Sabretooth because you can't have a comparison with a Wolverine figure without throwing in a Sabretooth. And that new Sabretooth has got to be one of the top legends of the year so far. So no complaints there. They actually look good together, size comparison wise. Looks like that'll be a good way to put up a fight for them. Also, with the Wolverine that came with that saber tooth, if you want to have him without the hat, one of these two head sculpts actually might be a good thing to slap on that plainclothes Wolverine. And look at the height comparison between these three figures. Really good. Sabretooth is crouched down a little bit, or he would be a lot taller than these two figures, even more so. But there's no complaints about these at all. Let's try something else. All right, and we'll bring in Angel. And in recent years, Betsy and Angel have been a couple. So these two look good together also. If we bring back the happier Psylocke face when she gets brought back to normal, they would look good teaming up together and being very photogenic. We could put them in a lot of pictures together. Angel is also in the top figures so far of the year for Legends. That wingspan, the sculpt, again, he was the figure that we needed, but this isn't about him, so back to these two. But the height comparison of what again as well looks decent between all these. They do float very well together, and we'll do another comparison here. And I believe the last comparison I'll do today is this X-Men 97 Wolverine next to this Ninja Wolverine. And again, height comparison is great. They look good together. Let's see about popping out the head, see what one of those head sculpts would look like on this Wolverine figure to see if it is something that can actually go on to another figure. And it does. Looks really good. You can add him and make this a plain head sculpt Wolverine, even though he does come with one. This one looks good on this one as well, which means it would probably look good on the Cowboy Logan. And as I say that, I say to myself, well, why don't you check it and see? Because we can do that here. Movie magic time. And there we go. And that civilian head sculpt does look good as well on this plainclothes Wolverine. So you can definitely mix and match as much as you want. And this is good to have because everybody did during a fight didn't want to just have, one of his regular head sculpts on him. So we'll be able to switch it up. So thanks to Ninja Wolverine, we have this as well. So at the end of the day, Would I recommend this pack? Yes, I would, if nothing for Betsy alone. She is, this version of her is not something that we've had before. It was needed for the line. I like it, and it can set up other uses because, to my mind's eye, that armor and that setup, can I say, might we be getting a Deathbird soon? Might we? Who knows? But time will tell. As far as this Wolverine goes, he's a decent Wolverine. It wasn't something I really needed for my collection, but he's not bad to have. Sometimes you do have to pay that Wolverine tax. So, but again, don't get me wrong, there is nothing wrong with this Wolverine. And I like the way that they actually painted the hair on this one on the arms and the back. So it does look decent. So again, I do think this is a pack that would be worth buying just for, again, she comes with good accessories. You get those two crackle features, you get the side blade, you get two clawed type hands, two head sculpts. Wolverine, you get these two head sculpts and some additional hands. So it is a decent pack. I think it is worth the money for it. So with that being said, let's tune in next time for another good video. And in the meantime, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And always remember to stay thirsty, my friends. And we will see you on the next one.